talk about the power of prayer, our faith, and the miracles God blessed us with. When Alan and I were 7 weeks pregnant, we found out we were expecting twins. We were beyond excited. At 17 weeks, we found out we were having a little boy and a little girl. Alan and I couldn't have been any happier. The joy we felt though quickly turned into terror when I went in for what was to be a routine appointment at 20 weeks with Dr. Crowfoot, ROE, and found out I was 3 centimeters dilated. Dr. Crowfoot asked us to go straight to Winnie Palmer, and he'd meet us there. I remember asking Dr. Crowfoot with tears running down my cheeks, does this mean we're going to lose our babies? When we got to Winnie Palmer, we found out not only was I 3 centimeters dilated, but I was also contracting pretty significantly, and our little boy's amniotic sac was already funneling down the birth canal. Hearing this terrified us. The high-risk OB doctors were called in and recommended we deliver them, knowing they could not survive. A typical pregnancy is 40 weeks, but they had to make it to a minimum of 24 weeks for the pregnancy to even be considered viable. I was only 20 weeks pregnant. My husband and I cried and prayed for a miracle. Fortunately, Dr. Crowfoot had a different perspective on the situation. He thought if we could get my contractions under control, we stitched my cervix closed, and I remained in the hospital for the duration of my pregnancy, we had a chance at saving them. We knew there were risks associated with the surgery, meaning we could lose one or both babies, but quite frankly, it was our only hope. I lay flat on my back, unable to move for fear it would break our son's amniotic sac, hoping and praying he would be a surgical candidate. After 36 hours of enduring this physical and emotional agony, Dr. Crowfoot gave us the good news. We were cleared for surgery. We knew this was a very tough decision for him to approve the surgery because he was going against what his medical colleagues were advising him to do. The high-risk doctors continued to recommend that we come off the medication and deliver the babies because they felt they would never make it to a live birth. None of the high-risk doctors were willing to do the surgery. The surgery went well, however, I wasn't able to come off oxygen afterwards. I was eventually diagnosed with aspiration pneumonia and was rushed into the intensive care unit. For some reason, I had fluid in my lungs. Once again, the high-risk doctors came to see us and recommended that my husband call our family because they would not be able to survive the birth. Surviving the diagnosis, the fact that my life was now in danger. Dr. Crowfoot was very worried given my new diagnosis and the fact that I had been taken off the medication he felt would help us save our babies, but he remained hopeful. Thankfully, I was at 24 hours of intensive care because miraculously, within 24 hours, my chest x-rays showed no sign of fluid. I was moved back to the antepartum floor and all of my medical care was turned back over to Dr. Crowfoot. This was such a huge relief for us. However, we knew this was a huge commitment on his part because it meant he had to come see us every single day I was in the hospital. There was no question he was willing to do anything and everything to help us save our babies. We thought that Dr. Crowfoot was our guardian angel. When no other medical doctor believed in us, he did. My days in the antepartum floor were long. I was on multiple medications around the clock and was only allowed to get out of bed and use the bedside commode to get ready every morning. I spent my days talking to family members who sat at my bedside around the clock, day after day, week after week, watching TV and praying with me. Dr. Crowfoot was called all hours of the day and the night because of the intensity of my contractions. He had to constantly adjust my medication. Even though I wasn't feeling most of the contractions, when they got really bad, they gave me an extra dose of medication to knock me out. This happened quite frequently. It was such a helpless and hopeless feeling. One particular night, I woke up after being knocked out, and the nurse kept telling me my new name was Faith Hill. I didn't know what she was talking about, and I was confused. My husband then explained they needed to limit my visitors because my pregnancy was so fragile, and to do this I had to change his name. My husband slept with the name Faith Hill out of desperation because the nurses were thinking about changing my name to Britney Spears. At the time when my husband selected Faith Hill, I don't think he fully realized how appropriate it was. We certainly needed a lot of faith, and now I have a name to remind me of it. The security that came to my new name was also extremely tight. In fact, when they found the Walsh came to see me, that he wasn't aware of my name change, so they turned him away. He wasn't sure what to think because Father Carl had just been by to see me. It wasn't until Father Walsh was given my new name that he was allowed to know this was the day our babies would come and not survive. There were some days when the emotional torment was so tough that I secretly hoped the nurses would just knock me out so I didn't have to endure this. I just wanted to wake up and God had made this decision, and I hoped and prayed God's plan included the two babies we loved so much. As tough as it was to be bedridden and on lots of medication, I honestly felt like every day I had the opportunity to lay in the bed was a blessing from God. It meant we made it one more day, and we were one day closer to being able to deliver two living babies. When I made it to 12 weeks and had been laying in the bed for a month, I was finally about to take a very quick shower. That felt like a little bit of heaven to me. I was also given steroid injections to help the development of our baby's lungs. All of this was like a dream come true because there were plenty of days and weeks when I wasn't sure if we'd make it to 24 weeks. We still hope and pray we'd be able to carry the babies much further into our pregnancy because we wanted to give them the best chance possible. We knew even though some babies survived at 24 to 26 weeks, they had a very difficult NICU stay, and not all babies make it. Throughout our hospitalization, our friend Giovanni, who's a respiratory therapist at the NICU, came to visit us. He helped give us some insight from the NICU and shared stories to give us hope. On January 31st, when I was 6.5 months pregnant, or 26 weeks and 5 days pregnant, our son's water broke, and we were forced to deliver. Dr. Griffith rushed to the hospital to help us. Unfortunately, because of the medication I was on, I couldn't be awake for the delivery, and Alan couldn't be in the delivery room either. Carson, our son, was born weighing 1 pound, 15 ounces. And Kendall, our daughter, was born weighing 1 pound, 14 ounces. We were told Carson's delivery was uneventful, but the neonatologist and her team of specialists had to work really hard with Kendall. Both babies were immediately placed on ventilators because they could not breathe on their own. Unbeknownst to us, Giovanni, our friend, was one of the respiratory therapists in the delivery room that night. He was responsible for saving Carson. Giovanni didn't realize it was me in the hospital bed because I was knocked out, and underneath an alias name he was not familiar with. For some reason, we never told Giovanni about our name change. It wasn't until Giovanni walked out of the delivery room with little Carson in his incubator, and he saw Alan, that he realized he just assisted with the delivery of our two precious miracle babies.